Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, thank you for tuning in today. I have the pleasure of having Jivko here with me. Jivko, I actually have known Jivko for almost, I would say, since 2005, 2000.
2000, man.
Oh, 2000, yes, exactly. We've actually gone to high school together,
Yeah.
but today it's 2017, and Jivko is a co-founder of one of the fastest growing company here in Chicago, which is an e-commerce fulfillment category, which is called ShipBob. He's also a professional tennis player, and he just recently got married. Jivko, thank you so much, man, for being on the show. It's been,
Thank you for having me.
man, 17 years,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's gone by like this. So I want to start off, man. It's been such a long time, and you've done so much things. What's going on with ShipBob? What are you doing there right now? Give us the juice a little bit on that.
Yeah, ShipBob is really exciting. We started in 2014, just 3 years ago, and the company's grown tremendously in the past couple of years.
Okay.
We started out with one warehouse location here in Chicago that was the size of a small studio apartment, and right now we're in 5 cities around the country, and we've done millions of shipments over these past couple of years, which is pretty crazy from where we started. Yeah, my role there right now is leading our strategic initiatives. So I'm leading the innovation for the new products and developments that we do to make ShipBob more competitive.
Got it. And what's the, like how every single company has like a purpose and mission, right? What is the purpose and mission for ShipBob?
Yeah, so for ShipBob, we empower e-commerce businesses to fulfill their dreams.
Got it.
So it's super simple to start a business these days. You can, like create a cool product or like source it, pretty easy. You can start your own website, get it to the US, but what do you do then? Let's say you're fantastic at sales. How are you going to get all those products out the door? Where are you even going to store these products? So
correct.
That's where ShipBob fits in. We offer Amazon level logistics to small businesses, startups, or anyone else that's out there.
I actually was reading an article, and it kind of compares ShipBob to like Amazon Fulfillment Center for small to mid-sized businesses. Man, that is amazing. I mean, it takes time and all this constant changes and progress, right, in order for you to get to the growth that you currently have. So, what were some of the things like that you did with ShipBob in like last 3 years that have gotten you guys to this point? At this point, you would say.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. We've done a lot. Like when we started out, I think what's really important when you start a business is that you fall in love with the problem that you're trying to solve. And for ShipBob, it was just shipping is really painful.
I agree because I also have like an e-commerce business, and I think that's the last thing that I want to do is go to the post office and ship this and wait in line. So trust me, I understand the pain points.
Yeah, so you'll really feel it like the way we felt it. Like my co-founders were having a different startup, and they were going to the post office every single day, and they were standing in line, and they realized that like we can get people to pay us money just to stand in line at the post office for them. So clearly that was a really big problem, and that's what we started with. We wanted to solve the problem of shipping for startups, and then originally the idea was that we would create an API and app that would just, you need something shipped, we'll come to your house, we'll pick it up, we'll take it back to our warehouse, we'll pack it, figure out the least expensive shipping option and ship it out. So it was like on-demand shipping, and that was one of the first ways that we started solving that problem. And it's evolved tremendously into now warehousing products and doing a lot of different things for a business that were never like in our thought process. This is the solution we have day one, but we really fell in love with the problem of we need to solve shipping for businesses.
How does one go from being a professional tennis player to becoming an entrepreneur and starting a company like this? Like, the show premises is all about like staying uncomfortable, right? And if you think about it as you...
I like that premise.
Thank you.
I feel like my life has been a series of uncomfortable decisions.
I think everybody's life is uncomfortable. It's like it takes courage. It takes faith, and you need to really be able to be open to try different things in life, and there are people out there that aren't, and that's what I want to try to tell people that here is through a story is like somebody who was a professional tennis player got really into entrepreneurship and startup world. Like think about like if somebody really invested another 10 years into their tennis career, like they could have been doing something else, right? So why transition? Like what made you do all this?
So I'm going to start with the preface of if I was a very successful tennis player, I would now be doing ShipBop business, right? So I was 19 and I played a year of college tennis, and then I realized that that's not the route that you would go if you were to become a successful professional tennis player. And I decided to drop out of school after freshman year, and I spent that year traveling around the country, preparing, playing tournaments.
Weren't you scared? Like what? Like just dropping out of high school? Think about it. Like in today's society, education is so important, right? That like,
For sure.
like at 19, you were like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna just drop out of school and literally just go travel the world and play tennis. Like, no hesitation. Like, weren't you worried about what your parents were gonna say, what the society was gonna say, where are you gonna end up?
Yeah, no, I've been really lucky, I think, with my parents. One, they immigrated to the United States, which was a huge risk that I saw them take, which made my decision to take risks like easier. But yeah, at that time it was pretty nerve-wracking. Like everybody else they were supposed to go to college, they were supposed to go in school, get a job, maybe go to grad school, and yeah, I just kind of knew that if I wanted to pursue tennis, this was the way to go. And once I realized that if I don't do that, then for the rest of my life I'll probably think, why didn't I try to play tennis professionally? Why didn't I go and do what it takes to do so? And once I realized that that's the choice that I was making, it became really easy.
So you just went with it and you did it.
Yeah, I mean, like I obviously asked like my parents. I had a really awesome professor who like after he graduated his undergrad, he spent like a year out like in a cabin like reading books, and this was his thing. He's like, if I'm gonna be an educated man, I'm gonna read a lot. And this I don't know, it inspired me to think of going out of the normal path to do kind of what you think needs to be done in your career or to chase your dreams. So
how did you get to where you're today, right? Like all these things that you've done has given you an experience in life, and I think there's a bigger thing. Like if you look back, I'm sure you can recall certain things that were so uncomfortable for you that you had to do to get to where you are today, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I feel like my life has been a series of like uncomfortable events that you kind of go through to get to what you want to do. But I think like anytime you try something new, it's uncomfortable. Anytime even if it's something that you think you enjoy, like you want to have a kid, and I'm sure like when you have a kid, you're like, holy cow, I'm not ready to have a kid. But yeah, so I think one that like an example for ShipBob is when we started out, we needed to get customers early on, and for us, customers was like people shipping packages. And we're like, okay, well, where are the people that ship packages? We're like, well, they're at the post office. So we're like, okay, cool. So what do we do? Like, maybe we'll just go outside the post office, and when people come in with their packages, like, we'll just get them as customers. So we actually did that for the first month. We stood outside the post office, and when people were like leaving their car, coming into the post office, we sold them on ShipBob. And it was really nerve-wracking. And at the beginning, it seemed really stupid because we're like a couple of bums, like 3 young guys, like chilling outside the post office. Maybe doing
totally see you guys
like there's no like ShipBob T-shirt, there's no ShipBob like proper working app. It's like, hey, give us your box, and we're like, we'll take care of this for you.
Wait, so you would ask them to give you the box?
Yeah,
outside the post office.
Literally. And day one, there was no app, there was nothing. We literally like wrote this down on a sheet of paper, and like somebody trusted us.
Somebody did.
With their credit card number and their like stuff that we would safely pack it, and we took an Uber down to a UPS store where we packed it and did all that. We did it properly. Like that person got their stuff. But well, it speaks to a couple things. One, it's a really huge problem if people are willing to go to that extent to avoid the next thing they're gonna do, or just dealing that with themselves. The second piece that's really interesting is that we did it for a whole month. We didn't like give up after like the day 1 or 2. This was like our main source of getting clients early on, and it helped us talk to a bunch of people early on that were like users of the product, and it was extremely uncomfortable. Like you had to like pitch and like wear your heart on your sleeve for that 30 seconds where you got to talk to somebody, and you hold it and like flick you off or call the cops on you. So, so it was. I mean, it was a difficult thing to do, and I think like every day people were, like, we had a small team after a couple of days that were doing it. Like they were questioning like, well, maybe, I don't know if this is the line of work for me. I'm not sure if this startup is gonna succeed.
Actually, I recall coming to your warehouse, I think, almost 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, in West Loop. I was like, man, I was like, these guys are hustling here, but like, I don't know, like, what the plan is, nothing. And like, even when I first talked to you, I was like, okay, you're just doing warehouse packaging, but now look at it, like, it's like completely changed. Like, you guys are one of the biggest player in the industry, and like, dude, hats off to you and your team. That's amazing. Like, when I came in, I was just like, okay, is this few people boxing things up, and now it's like one of the fastest growing company, man.
No, thank you. That means a lot.
It's been 3 years, and when did you guys get this break, right? Like you guys were doing the small, like the startup, hacks, and when did this big break come for you guys?
Yes, that's a very valid question. So we started out with the concept I mentioned, where we were on-demand shipping and we were picking up items from people's homes and taking them back to our warehouse. But what it transitioned to, like the biggest part of the business now is warehousing and doing like next level like logistics things for people, like managing their supply chain. And we didn't really get that far into it until we had one client who like we were picking up the same product from them every single day at the same time. So he was like, you know what, just like hold this box at your warehouse, and like when I get an order, just like ship it out. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept. But we were like so focused like on demand. In 2014, that was a big thing. It was like the Uber for everything, and
correct.
That's where like people were funneling money towards. And but it wasn't like the biggest solution to solving shipping. And warehousing was the next step. It wasn't very sexy. Investors were not thinking that owning the people and all that space really made sense. But we knew that that's the direction the business had to go to in order to solve the problem, which is shipping for businesses. So we decided to go under that. And a couple of months later, we were raising our Series A, and it was extremely difficult. Like people still didn't really believe that that's the solution.
Yeah.
They're like, you're just a small like third-party logistics company. You're competing against Amazon and all these other guys. Like, how is it going to work out? And we're really like passionate about the technology and other things there. And luckily, we had high-powered angels invested in us, and we carried on. And now, when we were raising our Series B round, everybody was super excited about the space. Because now they caught up and they're like, okay, this makes sense.
That's a great, like, if you think about it, right? Like, from an outsider point of view, when I first came in, when I saw it, and then now when I see you guys doing this, it's like, wow. And when I read the article about raising the $17 million, I was blown away, and I was so happy for you, Ben, and for your team. It was great. Awesome. So with all of this stuff that you have going on, right? Like what do you do for fun now?
I still play tennis. That's like my mental break. Like,
do you ever play pickup games?
Yeah, I'm at Mega Daily Park every Saturday morning. Like.
Okay.
Yep.
So if anybody ever wants to catch Jivko and get a game going, you know where to find him now.
10 o'clock, I'm there.
10 o'clock. What do you do in terms of now relaxation, right? Because you're constantly on the go. You're always like, moving around and doing things. Like, what are you trying to do when you want to like cut yourself out from everything?
Well, I generally think like I enjoy what I do at ShipBob, and it's like after hours when people leave and you have time to like think and work on the problems that you get to during the day. Like that's pretty relaxing. Like that feels like you're in, when you do something, you're like, I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
That's pretty relaxing. So work is, and especially in the after hours, relaxing. But when that's not happening, just spending time with my wife or playing tennis.
You studied abroad for 3 years. Wait, you lived abroad for 3 years in China?
After I graduated from undergrad, I wanted to learn Mandarin. I thought that Mandarin would be the business language of the future, so I moved abroad.
Why did you think the Mandarin was going to be the future language of business?
If you just look at the growing economy
Yeah.
and the rising middle class of China, it will be the largest place where people will buy stuff. They're on track to surpass the US. If that's where people are spending their money the most, that's where business will focus on the most. So when you think of years down the line, like 20 years out, China's market is significantly bigger than the United States, and businesses focus that way, so Mandarin must be the language that business is done in.
What are your plans with now ShipBob, right? Like, do you guys got the great funding? What's the next plan look like for you guys?
It's really exciting. So we're kind of out of the startup phase where you're figuring out what your product will be and the early stuff, and now we're in the growth phase of the business. So it's really in the next couple of years for us, it's ramping up our sales and having a bigger product line that we could offer. So working a lot with our tech. So we're going to be in 10 cities over the next 2 years. So right now we're about to launch our 5th. So there's 5 more cities coming on board.
Wow.
And then we're offering quite a few new things with our tech. Like right now, we're the place where your logistics, warehousing and that piece and the tech combined. So you can manage your inventory and multi-channel selling.
The premises of this show is it's all about staying uncomfortable and with our audience, one of the things that I try to do is anybody that sits on this couch here, really ask them that what's that one message that you can tell the audience that someone could be going through very, very hard time in their lifetime, someone who's really thinking about starting a business, someone who's might be in depression, someone who's fighting something in life, right? And there's so much value that your journey has brought to this segment. What would that one message that you would be able to tell?
Trust your gut and follow whatever it tells you, regardless if it's scary or fun or whatever it is. Like, trust it and go for it. And then I think essentially, like, whatever you're trying to do, if you break it down into like basic truths of what you value, and that's essentially what your gut is telling you, that is going to be the right decision of what you're doing. And if it's scary, you can keep going and try it and keep trying it until either it becomes not scary or you realize that it's really stupid, and then you can try something new. But I think the key is that you have to do something, and you have to do it quickly, and the quicker you do that, you're on the right track. Even if it's not essentially the one that gets you there right away, even the fact that you're moving, you're onto the right track, or you're on a track. And then you could revise and get to where you need to go. You're never gonna have like the right answer from the beginning. Even if you do, the right answer will have to change by the time you get there. So yeah, just trust your gut and do it.
Well, hey, Jivko, thank you so much for being here, man. I really do appreciate you for taking the time to come and sit here with me and have this conversation. And I know for a fact you've already made a mark in this world, and you're going to make an even bigger mark, man. But that's one thing we ask is anybody that comes on this couch, we ask them to sign on the wall here. On this wall, please.
Awesome, I'll be on there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.